In a book called The City of God, St. Augustine, I think I'm right in saying this, said something to the effect that the Bible wasn't intended to be a factual story. It wasn't intended to be taken literally. It was, I think he described it as something like the best attempt by ignorant creatures that we humans inevitably are to explain the ultimately unexplainable, to F the ineffable, to do something, to try to tell the story of who we are and what we're about and what the world is and where it came from and all that kind of stuff. It was the best attempt that was possible at that time, however many thousands of years ago. In many ways, it's a shame, really, that the Bible got kind of locked down, I think. Because the Bible we read today is essentially the same one that Constantine commissioned all those years ago in the 4th century. It's the same one that King James again commissioned a bit later on. If the Bible had been like open source, if the Bible had been like Wikipedia at that point, we'd be looking at something very different, I think. Because obviously there are, to follow St. Augustine's line on that there are better ways of talking about things, perhaps, now than were available 2,000 years ago. There are scientific findings, let's call them. There are explanations which are more advanced, more articulate. Other kinds of minds have been to work to explain this stuff. If the Bible had been open source right then, it wouldn't look like it looks now. It would probably contain the same material, reframed, but it would probably look more like the Encyclopedia Britannica, or like Wikipedia. It would be this vast, really interesting document, approached with all kinds of reverence and a kind of sacred approach to it, and care about its maintenance, and longing for its development, and a real desire to contribute to it, and all those kind of things would be, and a desire to embody it and to be one with its content. All those things would be in place, I suspect, but it wouldn't be 2,000-year-old stories, written by people in very, very, very different situations to ours, with very different access to information. It would be written by the greatest minds of our generation, working collectively, producing the kind of wisdom that comes from crowds of people working on the same project, with all of the checks and balances in place that modern knowledge gathering procedures can put into place. That would be a fantastic Bible. That would be great. I'd love to think of that kind of approach to the Bible. I think St. Augustine was really onto something with that. I think it's a shame, as I say, that the Bible got kind of locked down and turned into effectively a kind of relic, really, a kind of millstone around all our conceptual necks. Not quite sure why that would happen. I don't know why. I guess people were just scared. It was an odd time, I think, when Augustine was alive. I think it was the time when knowledge was kind of disappearing fast. I think it was a time when the barbarians were at the gates, and it wasn't like today, but I don't know how many thousands of books a day are produced, but it was a time when books were being burnt, were being lost, when all sorts of cultural events were taking place which were removing knowledge from the world. So in many ways, I guess it kind of makes sense to think, if you're in that mind state, you better get the best knowledge that you've got at that particular moment, and hang on to it like grim death, maybe. Anyhow, I think it was a bad idea. I think we need an open source Bible. And in fact, I think we've already got open source Bibles. I just think we're not treating them that way. I think the Encyclopedia Britannica is an open source Bible. I think Wikipedia is an open source Bible. Maybe the whole World Wide Web is one big open source Bible. Maybe I'm walking around in an open source Bible right now. All of the information that I'm getting every second of the day is incredibly special and incredibly sacred, incredibly demanding of reverence. Why not? If I choose not to treat it sacredly, or I choose not to revere it, it won't go away. That's the big difference, of course, with open source knowledge and evolved knowledge as opposed to original knowledge. If you stop believing in half that the Bible says, it just goes away. So it's funny talking about the Bible next to a waste processing plant. And although this video won't pick it up, there's a very strong smell where I am right now, and it's not a nice one. Most of my walks are really fantastic and beautiful. This particular is slightly different. The seagulls like it. It's always